I did my presentation on Charlie Parker and John Coltrane. Both Charlie Parker and John Coltrane were two important musicians for the bebop genre. The music that big band leaders play together with small groups is called bebop. Parker and Coltrane both had a great influence on the future of bebop. Parker is commonly named as the founder of bebop music and most influential bebop player, but Coltrane was also a key figure in the development of the bebop style. By giving a broad description of the biography of Parker and Coltrane, this presentation starts to discuss how they both affected the future of the style of bebop. These biographical parts also give a short answer to who Parker and Coltrane were, what they did for the bebop genre, where they played their influential music, when they made their music, and why they were so influential for the bebop genre. In the second part of our presentation, a broader explanation will be given to these 5 questions. Biography of Charlie Parker. Charlie Parker was born on August 29, 1920 in Kansas City. He already started to play professionally as a teenager. In 1939 he made his first trip to New York City to find his luck in music over there. Soon Parker found out that this was an unsuccessful trip. When he came back to Kansas City, he joined pianist Joy McShane, and together they had several tourings and made a couple of recordings. These recordings already show the bebop genre. After his period with McShane, Parker decided in 1942 to make another trip to New York City. Here he became part of the first group of bebop musicians. This group always came together in Minton's Club in Harlem. After playing in several other bands, Parker joined the big band of singer Billy Eckstine, in which Dale Gillespie and other founders of bebop already participated. Parker and Gillespie recorded several songs together in 1945, but at the end of the same year, Parker and his prodigy Miles Davis partnered up together. Parker and Davis made several bebop classics like Now's the Time and Coco. When on a tour in California in 1946, Parker collapsed due to a nervous breakdown and a heroin and alcohol addiction. He had to stay in the hospital for 6 months to recover from this. After he was released, Parker continued making influential bebop music until 1951. After this year, he only appeared as guest soloist at certain occasions. Parker died March 12, 1955. The biography of John Coltrane. John Coltrane was born September 23, 1926 in Hamlet, North Carolina. He was raised in Hamlet and Philadelphia. At a young age, Coltrane was influenced by his dad, who was a part-time musician. This is when Coltrane started to play the alto saxophone. He performed in several local Philadelphia bands before spending 2 years, from 1945 till 1946, with a Navy band in Hawaii. From 1949 until 1951, Coltrane played in Dizzy Gillespie's band. By now he had switched from playing the alto saxophone to playing the tenor saxophone. After his period in Gillespie's band, Coltrane joined Miles Davis' quintet, in which he started to become famous. In 1957 he recorded with Thelonious Monk during his famous stay at the New York City's 5-Spot Cafe. After this, Coltrane returned to Davis' quintet. He became even more popular for his improvisational style. In 1959 Coltrane formed his own quartet with pianist McCoy Tyner, bassist Jimmy Garrison and drummer Elvin Jones. Together they recorded a lot of songs. In the early 1960s, Coltrane started to experiment even more with jazz music. This experimental jazz music is shown in his albums A Love Supreme and Ascension. Coltrane died early at July 17, 1967 due to a liver disease. After his death, Coltrane received a Grammy for his album Bye Bye Blackbird, and in 2007 he was awarded a Pulitzer Prize special citation for his masterful improvisation, supreme musicianship, and iconic centrality to the history of jazz. Who and when? Charlie Parker and John Coltrane were two very important bebop musicians. They both flourished in the 40s, 50s and 60s of the 20th century. They were very influential in not only the world of bebop, but also in music in general. They left their mark in the world of music, and therefore they are considered two of the most important musicians in bebop. What did Parker and Coltrane do for the bebop music? Parker was a member of the first bebop group, and therefore is considered the founder of the bebop genre. His songs Now's the Time and Coco became bebop's classics. Coltrane also joined several bebop groups, but became more famous because of his experiments with jazz music. His experimental music is best shown in his albums A Love Supreme and Ascension. Where Parker's bebop music became famous in New York City. Here's where he joined the first group of bebop musicians and produced all of his bebop classics. After playing in Philadelphia, Coltrane also went to New York City to find his luck in music. New York City was also the place where Coltrane became famous. It can be said that New York City was the place where bebop rooted. Why? Why were Parker and Coltrane so influential? This is because they were original. They started with the bebop genre and created something new. Parker started the bebop genre by participating in the very first group of bebop musicians. Coltrane was so influential because he experimented a lot with jazz music and therefore created music that people never had heard before. Conclusion. Charlie Parker and John Coltrane were both extremely important musicians for the bebop genre. In the 40s, 50s and 60s of the 20th century, they started this new music genre in New York City as something completely new. By doing this, they made themselves part of music history and therefore they and their songs will never be forgotten.